Hi, welcome to Buffzone. My name's Kyle Ringo. This is Ryan Thorburn. We cover the University of Colorado Athletic Department for the Daily Camera newspaper. It's basketball season, finally. The football season's been a drag around here, as we all know, and basketball is up next and starting Friday night in the Coors Event Center with Tad Boyle. What are your expectations for this first game?
Well, first of all, when you look at the football BCS conferences at the bottom, you've got Kentucky, Indiana, Colorado. You know, a lot of teams that are basketball schools. So is CU a basketball school? No, it's a football school. But Tad Boyle is making strides. He's given people a nice distraction in the winter. And I think whether Buff fans like to hear this or not, I think Tad Boyle has the best chance of any of the major coaches at CU of having a consistent top 25 program. This year is going to be difficult. They lose 76% of their scoring. They lose Alec Burks to the NBA, Corey Higgins to the NBA D-League, great senior player, Levi Knutson, great leader, Marcus Relford, great versatile player. So what you're going to have is a lot of young talent, and that's always exciting in basketball. And let's face it, in basketball, freshmen can make a difference more so than in football, where CU is struggling with so many freshmen out there.
Hey, it's important. You wrote a good story a few days back about how important it is for the Buffs to start the season as well as they finish the season. Last year, the start of the season really is what came back to bite the Buffs and kept them out of the NCAA tournament. Those early season losses are really the reason a lot of people leaned on in terms of voting against the Buffs' inclusion in March Madness, and so starting strong Friday is just as important as playing conference games in February. What are your expectations for Friday?
Yeah, I mean, their opening game obviously is against a Division II opponent, so that doesn't really count as far as the NCAA tournament goes. But you're right. Last year they lost to San Francisco and Harvard, and a tough one at Georgia, where they play that later in the season. They probably win that one as well. So that was more of a coaching transition. Alec Burks and company getting used to Tad Boyle is the reason they didn't play the way they did in March. This year it's just the great unknown, but there are some great opportunities on the schedule for wins in November, December that the committee could look at later on. You've got Georgia coming home into Boulder. You've got Wichita State, possibly Maryland, in Puerto Rico. Some good opportunities there with some good programs that are not quite in sync as well. Winnable road games at Air Force and Colorado State, and more manageable, not as many airplane trips during the non-conference. So I think Tad Boyle's focus is to win in November while you're figuring it out, instead of learning the hard way and figuring it out based on watching losing film.
Yeah, this Fort Lewis team that comes in here on Friday been a pretty solid Division II team in recent years, and it's definitely not going to be just a pushover game. The Buffs will have to show up, and a team with a lot of new pieces and parts. It'll be interesting to see how they perform together the first time out. I mean, there's an endless number of stories here in this first game, from the freshmen in Dinwiddie and Askia Booker, how they're going to show up. What's it going to be like for Tomlinson and Sharp to have the point guard role completely to themselves, if that ends up happening, and not have Alec Burks and Corey Higgins to fall back on, and Shane Harris Tonks returning, and then the addition of Carlin Brown, the Utah transfer, who we've all been waiting to see since last year, when he was practicing day in and day out against Higgins and Burks. So it's going to be fascinating to see how all those pieces and parts come together under Tad Boyle's leadership. And I'm excited to get out there Friday night and get my first look at them in a competitive situation.
I think you're going to see a team that plays even faster than last year. That's what they've been working on in practice, pushing the pace, pushing the tempo. And I think you're going to see a more balanced team. Obviously, Alec and Corey did most of the scoring last year. This is going to be a complete balanced team scoring-wise, and that's the way it has to be. I think the number one thing I want to see, and it won't happen Friday, I wouldn't think, but in the near future is at the end of the game, who's going to be taking the shots when
I was just
you've
gonna
got a
ask you about
tight
that.
game. That'll be interesting to me. I would suspect probably Carlin Brown's a good candidate there. But, we'll see. Some of these freshmen are pretty confident.
All right, so we'll be talking more basketball in the days to come as the season wears on, and be interesting to see what happens Friday, and we'll talk about that next week.